違います。どうなんてどうでもいい。お願いです。僕がラヘルに会うために力を貸してください。
Majoring in art education in college, Lee Jong-hoo went to take the mandatory South Korea's military service, where he drew many characters out of his mind, and soon ended up with 10 books worth of practice cartoons. This later became the base of Jahad Empire and opened the gates to Tower of God. For more than 6 months, Jong raged his work at Naware's Challenge League until one day, Naware contacted him and asked if he wanted to publish Tower of God officially. Fast forward 10 years later, and today, Tower of God has been translated officially into 8 languages by Naware and to 20 other languages by the means of fan translation on the official platform. As of February 2020, the manhwa has collected over 4.5 billion views worldwide and has also become one of the first webtoon to get an anime adaptation by the streaming giant Crunchyroll. Today, Tower of God has become one of the most successful and popular manhwa to have ever came out. So today, let's talk about the appeal of Tower of God. Tower of God centers around a boy named 25th Bam who has been stuck in an underground cave for most of his life, with no one else by his side. So when one day Rachel comes to his rescue, she becomes the only light in his life, the only one friend he has ever had. But one day, in process of following her dreams, Rachel opens the gates to the Tower of God and goes ahead. Determined to be reunited with his friend, Bam manages to open the door into it as well, to follow his only light and friend. The tower is a mysterious structure that is completely enclosed and hosts many different unique environments. Living on the top floors, it's associated with higher status in the tower and better living conditions. Each floor is composed of 3 layers: an external outer tower, which serves as a residential area, the inner tower where people are tested, and a middle area which acts as a network linking each floor. Residents of each floor are given the chance to ascend, provided that they are deemed worthy. Reach the top of the tower and everything will be yours. At the top of the tower exists everything in this world, and all of it can be yours. You can become the god. I don't want to compare it to another floor climbing anime which went horribly wrong. But believe me, this series is way more complex, interesting and diverse than online art sword. This series is like a redemption arc to something art online. It's a show which tells you what would have happened if that series was done right. Because at the end of the day, the concept's just too similar for me to ignore. Head on, the first floor's guardian and the caretaker of the tower chooses people to climb the tower by opening the doors of the tower for them. These people are called the regulars, the chosen regulars. On some rare occasions, extraordinary people are able to open the doors by themselves without the help of head-on. And these people are called the irregulars. 2 of our main characters, the 25th Bam and Rachel, both are these so-called irregulars. Entering the tower, Bam isn't expecting anything in return from it, nor the riches or power or even the fame. The only reason he entered the tower is to regain the light of his life that he suddenly lost. you can get easily confused by the motives of the story, because the story isn't about climbing the tower, but it's about the evolution of our protagonist, from the naive little boy who was just chasing after a girl, who slowly grows to understand the cruelty of the world around him, and how people change, and how betrayal is quite common in this world. While there are 135 confirmed floors in the tower, only 134 are achievable and conquered by the King Jahad, while 135th floor is still unknown, and it is definitely not the top of the tower. Thus, the top of the tower is still unknown, making it impossible to climb the entirety of the tower. Each floor often has its own culture, language, and governance. Each floor is the size of the North American continent, and it is not uncommon to have nations living in isolation and unaware of the existence of the tower itself, thus making the world of Tower of God much more vast and complex. Featuring a somewhat complex battle system, a vast world, as well as intense fights to go along with it, is one of the most obvious causes for Tower of God's popularity and its major selling point. Shinsu, roughly translated as divine water, is a substance found within the tower in varying concentration on each floor. On lower floors, Shinsu is diffuse and inconspicuous, similar to air. However, on higher floors, Shinsu increases in power and concentration, and it's said to be viscous and flowing similar to water. High Shinsu resistance is required to enter the upper floors, thus making it harder to climb the tower eventually. Shinsu can be manipulated to enhance physical abilities, make powerful weapons, and even manipulate the natural elements, thus making the power system much more complex, similar to the likes of Hunter x Hunter. The most interesting part of the show is to watch each character grow on their own respective terms, whether it be the reptilic gator or the extremely smart Kun Agero Agonis, also known as the Blue Turtle. And the most boring part of the whole series is to mindlessly watch them climb the whole tower, because this series is more about character development than anything else. While the world of Tower of God is vast, it's still a far cry from even coming close to the sheer limitlessness of the world of One Piece. Comparing both of them doesn't even feel right to me, because One Piece has an extremely vast and complex world of its own. One of the biggest payoffs while reading Tower of God is to watch the art style slowly grow in the span of hundreds of chapters. The art style at the start of the story, the art style looked like this. Then it went from this to this, and later it grew to this, and finally today it looks like this. While the story is definitely approaching its end, it's not a complete one just yet, and I totally look forward to not only how the story will end up, but also how the art style at the end of this series would look like. Maybe some people calling it Tower of Simp is not wrong, but because it's Tower of Simp, it's great, because it's a story of a simp who eventually grows out of it. I think the series is a little overhyped, but it's definitely worth reading, because it's not the destination, but about the journey that will take you to the top of the tower. And that, my friends, is the appeal of Tower of God. Hey everybody, here at Nerd's Perspective, we try to take a different look at things that may seem normal. Today we talked about Tower of God and its appeal. Yes, I think the show is a little overhyped, but I think it's definitely worth reading. So, guys, give it a shot, and I think you will end up enjoying it too because I enjoyed it. And with that, I'll see you in this video of mine. So, what are you waiting for? Click it